welcome to the Reveal It All podcast, where we are celebrating strength and the power of shared stories. I am your host, Victorious23. In my 20s, I beat breast cancer twice. And in this space, I am breaking down the barriers and getting so real about women's health. We'll be diving into conversations about survivorship, mental health, and self-care, along with tips on looking and feeling your best because, babe, you are lethal. It's all about learning to stride in your thrive. Together, by sharing our experiences, we grow stronger and more resilient. So let's reveal it all and strive together. Welcome back to another episode of the Reveal It All podcast. I am your host, Victorious23, and I am thrilled to continue the 23 Moments of Wellness series. You guys are in for a special treat today. Today, I am going to talk about something that I can talk about for hours. I'm often asked about it, and it's about time today that I dive into the topic about how close my heart is to traveling. Has become very much a part of my healing journey as Victorious23. So yeah, let's get into it. So travel has a very unique way of healing, and not just for the body, but the mind and the spirit as well. And as I've shared with you, I am on this wellness revolution. I don't know why I have to say it like that. I'm cracking myself up right now. But as I'm on this just journey of wellness and really just immersing myself in it in a practice form, in a day-to-day form. When I was in treatment, I found myself like confined in hospital beds, confined to bandages, isolated in relationships, disconnected from everything, society, people. And again, like, you just fall into systems, like you fall into having to just do things when you're in the state of survival. You're just doing in motion. Outside of just being in my own wormhole of like survival mode and dealing with this chronic illness and dealing with the devil playing in my face, the world was also going through a pandemic. And we were very much in the like aftershock of the pandemic and understanding what now balance in society looks like. We were still in mask mandate. We were still like doing all of those things, right? Which was great for someone like me at the time who had to be hyper like sensitive to like my immunity and my system. And like, you know, we were already drinking, you know, hot water, lemon, ginger for health benefits of killing cancer cells, right? You know, but everybody also was drinking hot water, lemon, and ginger because they were fighting COVID, you know? So it's God. You see how God is like at the same time, what was needed for me to win, everybody else also was in practice of. But when it came down to like now me being in my survivorship, outside was already open for some time. And people, even when the world was shut down, were acting like outside was not shut down. So at the same time of me going down a wormhole and needing to figure out life, the world was also trying to figure out life because we were in the middle of a pandemic. I truly can't make this up. So when I tell y'all I was going through it during my cancer fight, it truly did feel like survival mode in every possible way. It was not only just intense fighting my own personal health journey, but it also was intense dealing with the fact that the world was literally shut down. A purple pickle, a purple panini, a pandemic, all the names that we had. Gosh, there still is studies that have not even been released or investigated with how that has affected so many of us and how us millennials have literally survived so much in our lives. Okay. So much in our young years. So much. Okay. But still we rise. Needless to say, just like everyone else, I was on a strict protocol, but now it wasn't just my health, like the whole world also was just in a strict protocol environment. Now, if you know me, you know that travel has always been my thing. Like, I am the girl that creates bucket lists. I am the girl that has a Pinterest page. I am the girl that pins, reshares, posts, likes, does it all. if you know me, you know that travel has always been my thing. Like, I am the friend who everyone calls when they are making a trip. They are trying to figure out what is something fun to get into. They know that I travel, so they are often asking me for my recommendations, my suggestions. I am that friend. I am your ally. And if you follow me on my Instagram, you definitely get the vibes. So I definitely am someone that has always, always, always loved travel. It really is my joy. It's my escape. It just makes me feel alive. It just makes me feel connected with myself, with the world. And it just really shapes me as a person, I believe. Also, like, knowing that I also come from a background of 2 immigrant parents, and I am the first born in the United States, it is important for me, and has always been important for me, to understand the leverage that it is to be a child of the world. I don't just have the cultural awareness of being an American. I have the cultural awareness of also being Nigerian, also being a European, because my mother is born and raised a London babe. And so I definitely, like, my aunties all still live in England, and like my aunties and my uncles on my mother's side are still very much across the pond. And that is leverage when I think about my lifestyle and when I think about how I'm able to explore the world. It gives me just a different sense of awareness, a different sense of just civilizations, and it makes me think different. It makes me create different. It makes me a more mindful person, and I really don't take that for granted. And I think that is something that I really love about traveling. It just makes me a just more mindful me. And so I've got a bucket list about a mile long. I have a Pinterest board. Like I said, I can share it if you want it. But think about it. In the year 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, as these were all the years that we were experiencing the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere. And it hit harder than a sack of rocks being thrown in your face. Now, I've never experienced that, but it hit home. Like, it really hit a different place for me. And I think that maybe for others that don't travel and have never maybe left their town before, like, they don't get it. But for someone like me, who I've shared, that travel brings me joy, travel brings me clarity, travel brings me just awareness of self. And that also being completely stripped of me during this time, during this survival mode, gosh, I felt so confined, y'all, not just physically, but mentally too. What I will share with you guys is one of the things that has always kept me grounded, even before the pandemic even happened, was always visualizing all of the places that I always wanted to go. Okay. So when I say visualizing places that I wanted to go, has always been something that has also brought me joy. That was all that one could do when we were literally under a travel restriction. Okay. When they said we had to sit our behinds down and we could not, countries didn't even open up the borders for us. And I don't think that people, again, understand how crazy a time that was. Like, for them to literally say, no, it doesn't matter if you have a passport or not, baby, visa or not, baby, we don't want you. You have to stay where you are. You have cooties. It's just madness. Everyone has cooties. So we all have to just stay where we're at. One of the things that kept me grounded was visualizing all of the places that I still wanted to go, regardless of that travel restriction, you guys. I just needed a release, especially when everything, like the world included, were literally like, no, you need to sit your behind down. I just needed a release. I needed something that felt like freedom, especially after someone like me that has been personally through some of the most painful, excruciating times that me and mine only know. And especially when I think about those waiting periods, all that anxiety that had been forming up in this body after 2 years of treatment and pumping hormones and freezing eggs and taking chemo and losing hair, and week by week, literally week by week, praying with God that we don't crash out. Because when I tell y'all, like, the journey is definitely not easy. It definitely requires a lot of just discernment. It takes a lot of stillness. I think that what this journey required and everything that built up inside of me, I was due for a release. I was due for a release. So when those travel restrictions lifted, oh baby, when they said outside is open, when they said that outside was open, now I was ready. Now, after, and especially once I finished treatment, first off, even before I finished treatment, let me just be honest. I need to just tell y'all again, like, who I am. I love to travel. Before I even finished treatment, I got diagnosed at age 29, right before I turned 30. And I wanted to travel internationally for my birthday for 30. Like, duh. You know me. So those that know, like, okay, that's not new. That's not new for Laura to want to take a trip internationally. But this wasn't just obviously a normal trip. Like, your girl's turning the big 3-0. She wants to celebrate. She wants to do fancy luxe babby vibes. Like, this needs to be grand. This needs to be epic. And we're going to Paris. At least that's what my girlfriend, who is also my Scorpio sister, said to me. She literally from the get-go was like, listen, baby, I'm booking us a hotel. Right now we are booked for Paris. These are the dates. Find a flight. We're going to work it out. You get the clearances from your doctor. I literally went to my doctor months in advance and I told her, listen, hey baby, listen, I understand that I am in treatment and I know that I'm supposed to be here every 3 weeks, but I might need to skip a week. And that week being the week of my birthday. Because you know what? I don't feel like feeling crappy. I don't feel like feeling like crap on my birthday. My birthday is a very, very jubilous time. My birthday is a very, very grand time. And I celebrate my birthday not just on the day. I am a Scorpio. I celebrate the whole month. Truly, it's really from November until January 10th because let's be just so serious. Like, my birthday falls the beginning of November. Okay. So we're already in jubilation because it's November. Duh. And then we're going into Thanksgiving. Like, what another joyful, thankful time. Okay. And then we're going into holiday season. Duh. We're going into Christmas. Duh. And then we're going into New Year's. Duh. Like, there's just so many times to celebrate. The birthday just never ends once we start the top of November. And that has always been the cadence. If you know me, then you know the vibes already. But I just had to explain it because obviously, you know, but needless to say, when it comes down to, I don't even know how I got here. I'm going to need to pause this and re-listen to this episode because I got distracted, especially because I'm recording this episode and my birthday just passed. I had another grand time, a grand year, but this is how we got here. I traveled to Paris during treatment. I got the clearances from my doctor to take a week off from my treatments and to bump my treatment to the following week instead of the week of my birthday. So the week that I returned, oh baby, I was in that chair. But I definitely made sure that I got all those clearances about pushing my infusions back before I booked, before anything was, the hotel was booked, like I said, but before I booked my flights, before I engaged any other friends and family members to join me in the celebration. Definitely, you got to make sure that you're good. Like, let's just not play games. The plan is the plan. And again, like I said, this journey, especially when it comes down to your health and your wellness, is a game of discernment. And it is a game of discernment at every age, no matter what your age is. You want to have the best life. You want to live a long and healthy life. You need to learn the definition of discernment now and start practicing habits right now of discernment so that you don't need to even get into any predicament of illness or feeling like you don't know how to get yourself into a better predicament mentally, physically, emotionally. Pick up some habits now. And that is exactly why I love the fact that you, my friend, are even tuned in, subscribed, and you've shared this episode around to your network so they too can be on course with living a healthier, more mindful you. That is something that I will share with my listeners, that constant reminder of prioritizing myself and making sure that I am staying on par with the plan is something that I am constantly reminding myself of. I hear often from so many different, groups, friends, associates, allies, conversations online. The second that you're introducing a healthier option to someone, they're quick to say, everything's going to kill us at some point. I might as well just do what I need to do, But the thing is, baby, why do you want to wait until you feel illness or experience illness and get in the place of having to now fight when prevention was always there? And prevention is easy. It really is a matter of figuring out what works best for you while listening to your body and understanding what discernment will do. Discernment will get you to your goals and accomplish those goals. Discernment will get you through the journey and get you the results that you want. Discernment is going to keep you on par, keep you on pace with exactly where the final destination is supposed to be. So I went a little bit off subject, but I'm going to reel it back in right now. I want to share with you guys that after those travel restrictions were lifted, I was ready to be outside. Being outside wasn't also now the same outside that I used to live. Being outside now came with a whole new lens, especially as a fighter, especially having experienced the extremes of being in a pandemic, like a health pandemic, guys. Extremes, and having now just awareness of how precious, again, life is and how things can be so quickly removed. Like, being confined was not fun. And I think that, a lot of people took the pandemic and still don't understand the magnitude of the pandemic, but being confined was not fun. So I thank God every single day when I have the awareness and I remember to do so, to thank him for the freedom of mobility, because I did not appreciate that, nor did I put that into my prayer until I was literally casted into a situation when the world stopped and my health really required me to have to also stop and be still as well. My very first trip was a solo adventure to Tulum and to Cabo, Mexico. And that was just for me, y'all. That was just for me. And I really labeled that as one, I had just checked off a huge professional task that I literally spearheaded, launched, executed damn near all by myself. And shout out to the partners that I worked with, found, scouted, and we created magic with a company that the people, great. But one thing that pandemic definitely told us about was burnout, and also understanding the distance that you need to put in place in your workplace with people that don't respect your health and your wellness. Okay. The second that shift started to happen in the workplace, I was so glad, because let us definitely bring up the conversation. Definitely COVID definitely revealed a lot about a lot of the companies that we were working with. Okay. All right. And after I checked off this huge accomplishment for my professional goals, don't you know, in less than 48 hours, y'all, I was told that they couldn't pay me anymore and that this would be my last paycheck. I can't make this up. Maybe that's the name of this episode. I can't make this up, because really, this is a company that I worked with. They knew my life. They knew the journey. They knew my surgery dates. They knew the days I had chemo. They knew the days that I clocked in. They knew the days that I clocked out. They knew the hours that I went for chemo. They knew the hours that I clocked back in after chemo. Okay. This place that I devoted so much of my time, poured all my energy into, even on my bed with my drains, as my body was literally in healing on the bed and I could not literally bend down because of the stitches in my abdomen. I was with my laptop in front of me doing work for this organization. And in literally 48 hours after launching one of my largest projects for them, completely pivoting their complete presence online, might I add, they told me that they had to let me go. Severance was paid, agreements were signed, but let that be a reminder also, just in real life, y'all, you always need to prioritize yourself. Please pour into yourself. Don't pour into that job. Pour into yourself, because 48 hours after I launched that project, listen, they were telling me basically that they couldn't pay me anymore. I was already zipping up my suitcase, ready to take the solo trip that I had booked literally, I think 3 weeks before I closed that project out, because I wanted to reward myself. One, I had permission to travel again by my doctors. Two, I had just worked my behind off months. While I was in my downtime, as I said, I was still working. I deserved this release. And that was where my mind was. I booked that solo trip anticipating I need this release, and I am deserving of release, and I am deserving of rest. And this trip also that I booked to Tulum wasn't just about just the beautiful landscape, the incredible all-inclusive that I stayed at. It wasn't about all of that for me, although that definitely didn't hurt. It was also about reconnecting with myself, which was why I made this trip in general, but also it became like a wellness trip, and one of my first wellness trips that I can actually collect on my belt. One of the highlights, definitely visiting the cenote. There's something almost magical about the waters of these caves. It's filled with minerals from the soil, from the earth, that in general is just rejuvenating for your skin. Okay. The cave, the experience, the water, it's just what an escape. It almost feels like you're just in a cradle of natural beauty. It felt like I was soaking up pure healing energy being in these beautiful cenote caves. I'm going to definitely share some videos, maybe even a vlog of this Mexico trip, so you guys can really experience a cenote with me. And recently, as of 2024, I took another trip to Marrakesh. Yes, baby, Morocco. And it was outstanding. Definitely want to go back. Highly, highly recommend. You need to travel to Africa and just visit all of Africa. Stop playing. You guys are focused on all the islands, babe. You need to go and visit the island of Lagos. No, but honestly and truly, Marrakesh, beautiful. Again, taking this trip for me, healing was still heavy on my mind. This was the year after I just had my plastic surgeries. This was the year after, again, I just had this very major invasive surgery, and I'm now just really figuring out my stride in this body all over again. So healing was still very much on my mind, and especially with all of my focus after surgery being on skin restoration and balancing out my hormones. Still, things are definitely still trying to recalibrate after we went through 2 years of a whole lot. I swear each of these specific trips were not just getaways for me. They were ways for me to get closer to myself. They were ways for me to keep moving forward. It brought more than just hope. It brought more than just joy, but I did feel that release. All of that built up just anxiety, all of that built up just refinement. I did feel a release when I took these trips. And that is definitely why I would encourage anyone who feels that they're in this place of confinement, who feels that they are stagnant. Babe, it's time to release. It's time to choose rest. It's time to book that solo trip. And this solo trip does not need to be abroad. I really, really want to share that with any listening ears on this episode. To find rest and to find release does not require you having to travel abroad. Literally, I remember finding release during COVID when we were under very strict confinement and restrictions altogether. Just going to my local park and setting up a picnic, buying some canvas at Five Below, some paint and brushes from the dollar store, and doing a little paint and sip with my friends, with my ex at the time. Like, there were just so many things that I would explore within myself that brought out joy, that brought out release, that gave me time and places to rest, to unplug, to get off of the screen, to put the phone down, to also just completely cut off the noise of the world. And I believe that is what is so imperative and super important in this journey, and what I truly prioritize as a moment of wellness for me. My moment of rest and release has often been when I am traveling. So for me, I book time away to be with myself. I book activities for me to explore things about myself. Am I an artist? Can I make a pot? Can I cook a meal? Can I climb a mountain? Can I survive parasailing? I don't know. That sounds extreme, but there's plenty of activities like booking an excursion to a cenote, which is a healing point in the forest, just due to all of the minerals in the water, the minerals in the soil, just all of the environment is healing. I'm definitely going to make a vlog. I definitely want for you guys to see how this experience was for me. It was quite incredible. But for me, traveling provides me that escape, that moment of release. And so, yeah, for me, traveling brings me closer to myself, and traveling definitely helps me move forward when I felt confined. Travel has become a whole new kind of therapy for me. And I can't wait to share more about how these experiences have helped me reconnect, restore, and feel like myself again. If you guys want to hear more about some of the amazing things that I bought in Marrakesh, when we're talking about Marrakesh, we must talk about argan oil. And if you know, then you know that is the queen of skin restoration. So definitely subscribe to the Reveal It All podcast if you have not subscribed already. If you're not following us on Instagram, be sure to follow us on Reveal It All Pod, P-O-D, Reveal It All, P-O-D. I'm going to share everything. Like, you guys ask questions and I'm an answer. I really want to engage with my listeners, with my community, because this is a space for healing everything. We're healing together. I am still in a journey of constant healing. And when it comes down to my wisdom, what I know, I only feel it is important that I pay it forward to whomever next needs it. And baby, that's how wisdom gets passed down. You take what you need and you pass it to the next. I am the face of many survivors, and I feel that I am obligated to now pour into my community with all of the resources that I have. So if you want my shopping list from Marrakesh, I got you, babes. If you want the live demos of me, I got you, babe. Follow the TikTok too. Just follow the page. You will get all access to the gems that I'm dropping on the podcast. This has been another amazing, quick little chat here. I didn't really dive too deep into every aspect of traveling with me, but if you're interested in that, let me know in some way and I will gist and yap on. All right. But this is just a reminder that you have to prioritize yourself. It is so, so important that we remind ourselves of that. In this life will life, and it will be disrespectful. I got several reminders of that. And it just again is a reminder that this world is full of demons. This world is full of bastards. This world is full of actually rude people with audacity. So you have to look out for yourself. You across the board, every single day, morning, noon, midday, night. You have to look out for yourself. Okay. And that's what this Reveal It All space is all about. We are looking out for ourselves. Gems are being dropped, and I hope that you are subscribed. Subscribe now if you haven't. I love you, and we will talk soon. Now, before we wrap up, I want to invite you to stay tuned for more episodes of 23 Moments of Wellness. So excited to continue this conversation with you guys. I've created this community Reveal It All podcast because I believe we have to close the gap of gatekeeping information. If I had known certain things earlier in my journey, in my womanhood journey, I can guarantee you I would have seen a difference. All right. That's why it's so important that we share in our health stories, in our challenges, and in our triumphs what the real tea is. We are so much stronger together. We have shared experiences that bind us, and our community can truly become and grow wiser and more resilient by just us revealing it all. So please subscribe, follow, stay tuned. If you're loving the conversation, make sure you share it along with those that you know in your inner network that also are wellness conscious babes, those that are looking to be their best self. Share this episode with them, all right? I'd love for you to join the conversation, share your wellness practices and your journey with me on social media using the hashtag Victorious Wellness. Let's build a space where we can inspire one another. And until next time, stay victorious. Love ya.